I'm so excited to welcome Britt Mognoni to the show today. Britt is a multi-passionate entrepreneur with expertise in brand building, growing direct marketing businesses and leading faith-based trainings for women and fostering community. With a unique blend of digital marketing savvy and business coaching expertise, she's a master at helping brands thrive through authentic connections and actionable strategies. Beyond her professional achievements, Britt has a heart for mentorship and a personal mission to help others grow closer to God and confidently hear his voice. She's deeply passionate about building meaningful relationships and empowering people to find joy in everyday moments and step boldly into their purpose. Britt is also a hiking enthusiast, a fitness enthusiast, and loves spending time with her family. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Denise. It's always fun hearing some people intro you. I'm like, oh, yes, that is me.
I am kind of awesome.
So well said. Thanks for having me on.
Well,
I'm super excited.
thank you for taking the time. I know that you're very busy, and I really appreciate you being here. Before we get started, just want to share a couple things. You and I have known each other since 2018 through the speaker and events industry. And it's been a lot of fun because we've kind of followed each other around in different ways over the years. And I've always loved partnering and working with you on special projects, and just love your advice and mentorship, guidance, help, all of that, all of the stuff.
Thank you. I thank you. We have so much fun together.
We do.
We always say we're idea machines, and I think we put us together and we're like unstoppable. So I love it. It's so fun.
We're a powerhouse of ideas.
Yes. Never dry on ideas over here.
Well, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, probably most of your adult life. So how did you get started?
That's a really good question. When I think about just how far back it goes, I moved to Las Vegas in 2012 without a job. I just had somewhere to live, and I was like, well, I'm going to just start cleaning houses. So I just reached out to like the very small network that I knew and asked for referrals, and kind of just built a small little cleaning business. Well, for the time being, that was very short-lived because I did not care for it. But through that, I just learned I loved working for myself. I am driven. I love talking to people and connecting with people and connecting other people to other people. And so I kind of just started to leverage how I'm wired and who I am into whatever I did. And so whether that was cleaning or connecting speakers in the speaking industry to corporations for events, all the way to just my own business and really building the network marketing space, connecting people to really high performing products, all the way to digital marketing and consulting and mentoring and coaching. Really, it's just a little bit of everything, a little bit of me, no matter where and what vehicle I'm in. So, yeah.
That's so good. And very resourceful. I mean, everybody needs somebody to clean their house, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep. And I'm like, I don't know how much people charge. I'm just going to say what works for me. And that's how I started my digital marketing agency. I was in the corporate world in the speaking industry. And there was just there's lulls and highs and lows and ebbs and flows in the industry. And during a more quiet season, I was like, there has to be more to life than just kind of waiting around for the industry to pick back up. And so that was kind of around the time when social media was really, really taking off in terms of like influencers and people growing a following. And so I literally just started to reach out to people who I had already been following, who I like genuinely enjoyed what they were doing, what they were all about. And I literally like put together, I still saved the email because I think it's a pretty darn good email. It just really like my personality of like, here's a list of things I can do. I love what you're doing. If this is a match, great. Like, let me know. And basically just built my business. I never even had my own website. It was just all word of mouth referral connections from just supporting people and who are doing awesome things. And so I just feel like it's, if you have the desire to work for yourself, it can absolutely happen. And sometimes you got to start with a cleaning business. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you probably did pretty well at it.
I did. I'm a detailed person. But like I said, it was like okay, if I can do this, like, this is not what I want to do, but I know that I can work for myself and like close deals as far as
Mhm.
sales and cleaning go. So I knew I could just kind of take that skill that I kind of self-taught and bring it into wherever I went.
I think it's like the true grit of an entrepreneur because sometimes you have to do the things that aren't as glamorous. People think you say entrepreneur and everybody thinks, oh, that's so glamorous.
So it's
But
kind
it
of like a buzzword.
absolutely is not always glamorous or fun.
No, no. I knew whatever it was, though, I was like, it will be more fun than having to ask for time off. Like, for me, that just something from a very young age just never sat well. Like, I have to ask somebody to
I
like go
know.
to the doctor or like take a day for myself. Like, I know that I'm a hard worker. And so I'm like, oh, it just never sat right with me. So as menial as that is, it was just a driving force of like, I want to make decisions for myself, for other people, without having to, because I think I just have a built-in confidence and leadership, whatever gene in me, that I just am driven in that way, where I'm like, I don't need someone to tell me what to do in that type of sense. I do
Right,
desire
right.
accountability and oversight and whatnot. But when it comes to the small things like that, that just impact in a bigger way than I think I liked, I knew I
Mhm.
was like, nope, I'm destined to work for myself.
Yeah. Well, as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, how do you juggle your diverse interests and stay focused on your goals?
I think reminding myself of who I am and knowing that I'm showing up fully me no matter what avenue. So whether it's fitness instructing, I taught classes and was a personal trainer for a while. I incorporated branding in that. You're branding yourself, you're marketing yourself. And so it's really just showing up at fully yourself in whatever you're doing. And so when it comes to balance, it's like, well, what do I have the grace for in this season of my life? Like, I know that I'm wired to be multi-passionate, but sometimes that means two or three things versus there's seasons where I was doing six or seven things. And so it's just knowing where like that grace is to be like, well, I feel something shifting and pivoting in this area. I feel like that's kind of closing out. And you just kind of stay in tune with what you're feeling. It's not a matter of, we all have kind of days where we do stuff that we don't really like doing for our business, but there's a difference between that and then like feeling just that stir of like, oh, there's something's coming, there's a shift coming or a pivot. So just paying
Mhm.
attention, I think, to kind of those signs. I feel like I've felt them enough to really just kind of hone in on, oh, yep, there, just pay attention. There's something coming. So I just say pay attention to how you're feeling. Take inventory on like your stress levels, your sleep levels, what's on your mind, what feels like a weight, like a good weight versus like a heavy burden that's just kind of like holding you back versus like
Yeah.
the heaviness of like you wanting to steward well what you have your hands to.
What are, if you don't mind, like shouting out some of the industries that you've kind of crossed?
Oh, that's fun. Um, let's see. Uh, I don't even know what industry you would call us. Well, I guess pharmaceuticals. It was part of like a microbiome supplement company. The speaking industry, aluminum manufacturing, that was one of them. Fitness, it was a big one. The Christian faith-based space is another. Let's see. Those are kind of the main ones that I think of at the top of my head.
Well, that's very diverse then. Well, when it comes to your personal brand, what is the most important thing to you and how do you want to be seen?
Ooh, these are good questions, Denise. Um, I know that I mean, my faith is central to everything that I do. And that to me, it's like if I, it's an easy no if I'm not able to incorporate some element of faith to it because that's my core. And so that to me is so important of when people see me and my personal brand, they know that I'm passionate about equipping, encouragement, and supporting people in their faith journey wherever they're at. Specifically when it comes to like growing and more confident in hearing God's voice and knowing like His heart towards you. And so I love, whether that's partnering with God in your business, or if you're in your everyday life or in community. To me, those are like the three main things that I love and know that I'm like made for in my personal brand. So teaching, coaching, encouragement, and equipping people in that way is so pertinent to who I am.
I would definitely agree with that. And you know what? It's a common thread amongst all of the people that I have interviewed. Faith has been central to everything that they do, and is incorporated into their personal brand. And it really, I'm kind of surprised because I wasn't expecting to hear that from everybody.
Interesting. That's interesting. I liked hearing that.
The other thing that I've heard throughout all of these interviews is everyone deals with imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Everyone deals with imposter syndrome. And you think, oh, successful people, they don't, they have all the confidence and they're not dealing with imposter syndrome. But every single person, I think, does.
Absolutely.
And the more intelligent or that people are and have more self-awareness, the more imposter syndrome they have. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah,
There are those people that walk around and they're like, they don't care. They're just gonna, they just kind of do it and they don't give it a second thought.
Those people are very inspiring.
I don't know.
When people just go for it and they're like, well, this is who I am. And, like there is some level of like, I do appreciate getting, wisdom from people or advice so it's a healthy balance. Finding that healthy balance, I think is important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know that you've helped countless brands through your marketing expertise, your business coaching. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in that space and how did you overcome it?
I quickly found that if I don't personally resonate with the voice or what the brand is and that they stand for, it makes it that much more challenging. Creating content, even just like in regular strategy sessions, if I'm not aligned with the vision, the mission, the core values of the company or the brand, it tends to be more challenging. And so I think for me, I always make sure, even in like consultations, to really know and understand who they are as a brand, and what they stand for and believe in. That way I can know that I can service them to the best of my ability. And so because I'm, I guess, a solo entrepreneur, and I'm not a big agency or business or company, where I can just kind of hand it off to somebody else to deal with. I care so deeply about like wanting to drive a brand forward, but I feel like I can only do that to the best of my ability if I'm in alignment with who they are and what they stand for. So I quickly found like I tend to lean more towards working more strong with female entrepreneurs. I've worked with a handful of male clients before in the past, and it's been like good. It's fine, but like I know I thrive in the female entrepreneur space, and so just kind of knowing that, I think, is really helpful for anyone. Is like, who do you feel like you come alive when you talk to? Like it goes back to your ideal client, like identifying who that ideal client. It's a real thing. Like my work, the productivity, my passion for it. It definitely influences how my work when I'm partnering with someone who I feel in alignment with versus someone who maybe is not totally in alignment with who I am.
Did you know that right away in your entrepreneurial journey, or did you kind of figure that out as you kind of went along?
I'm grateful for the fact that I went after people when I was first building like my virtual assistant kind of digital marketing business, was that I went after people who I loved what they were doing. I already resonated with them. And so when I actually had clients that I didn't like, that were a referral or that I that came to me through a connection, then I kind of realized it was kind of from that where I was like, oh, like I signed them on as a client. And then I quickly was like, oh, this isn't it. And so I was totally like, okay, if they like didn't renew or the project ended, versus really wanting to hold tightly and cultivate a really good connection with and relationship with the people and the clients and customers, that I did really feel like called
Yeah.
to serve and to help.
That's really good. It's okay, I think, for people, I think it's okay for people to say, no, this isn't a good fit. But I know somebody who might be a good
Mm-hmm.
fit. You
Yes.
don't have to take on everyone.
Yeah. And I think about how like there's that scarcity of like, well, I don't want to pass up, this money or easy money. And it's just like, well, I mean, maybe you can do that, or you can say no, and it makes space for better clients. It gives somebody, like you said, somebody else who would be a better fit, an opportunity to
Mhm.
support them in their business. And so to me, I only think like you're thinking long term of like, is this going to be worth, even if it's a high ticket client, is this going to be truly worth the headache, though, whatever comes from it, versus making room for a bigger ticket client that is your ideal client. And so for
Mhm.
me, it's a much easier decision when it comes down to it, when you really take into consideration those key items.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, you've been in the direct marketing space for a while and have built and led teams. Um, what are some of the things that you learned along the way that worked and didn't work?
Hmm. What didn't work is assuming that I treat and lead every person the same.
Mhm.
I don't have kids, but I just assume it's similar to parenting where you don't parent the same kid the same way. We're all wired differently. And so leadership, I think, very much is in that same realm of really, it emphasizes the importance of getting to know your people, knowing who they are as a person, not just as a team member, but just as a human being. And so I realized that I was getting frustrated and felt myself like coming up against a wall of like, why can't I get some of these people who I see such potential in? Like, they're just not they're just not getting it. And so once I kind of figured out, oh, I have to actually just know, are they more like an auditory learner? Are they, are they a one-on-one video person? I'm really finding out what that person, that team member needs to just thrive and be seen and valued as a human. And
Mhm.
then kind of the work comes from that. To me, I found like performance usually increases, their drive, their connectedness to the brand, like the company, and connecting in their own way, empowering them and to do that, finding out who they are, why they're doing what they're doing, and it really helping kind of come alongside them in that way versus being like, I need you to hit this sales number. It's like, to me, it's not about that. It's about empowering people in whatever they're doing. So how showing up fully themselves, whether it's in direct sales, digital marketing, it really kind of overlaps, and is very, very similar across industries.
That's really good. Yeah. Well, that kind of segues into kind of a new endeavor that you're embarking on. Do you want to talk a little bit about your Make Wellness business?
Sure. I definitely want to back up to why I even um, entertained a new endeavor. I was a part of a different company for about 7 years, and they shut their doors pretty much overnight, unexpectedly, in April of 2023, 24. And it was totally, yeah, unexpected. And that was a large chunk of my monthly income. And I was pretty confused. I had felt something coming, but I was more of just like really bummed out because I genuinely loved the products. I would not sell something or share something that I didn't love. And really just the team, the community, the camaraderie, and the mission of the company. It was just part of me. It was like kind of an extension of me. And so I really felt there was like going through that grief process. And so I feel like the timing of when that was in April, and I just didn't feel like I wanted to just jump to another company, without really, just kind of doing my due diligence and letting myself grieve the loss of 7 years, and just the clientele that I built. And so it wasn't until September of last year in 2024, that I saw people who I already looked up to, whether in the entrepreneurial space, in the network marketing space, and they were all starting to talk about this new company. And it was a brand new company that was bringing bioactive precision peptides to the market. And I was like, I have no idea what that even is. But I was intrigued because of the caliber of people who I saw who were already successful, who didn't need to be adding another thing to their plate. So I was kind of just paying attention. And it was, I saw a good friend of mine. You actually had her on the podcast, Miriam McKissick. And I was like, you know what, if she's doing it, like, why not? And so I just kind of started to learn more and educate myself on the products. Ingredients are really important to me. And so I was looking at ingredient safety, also just transparency from like a corporate standpoint is also really important to me. And so it kind of just started to check off all the boxes. And I'm like, the worst that can happen, and this is for like anybody, like if you're interested in something and you're like, the worst that can happen is I don't enjoy it and I pivot, or I don't like it and it's just not for me.
Right.
And now you know. And so I always am very like kind of just I will just dive all in. And so that's kind of what I did with Make Wellness. And it feels a little different because I've had to basically, it feels like starting from scratch because I can't just transfer what I did in my previous company and like put it over Make Wellness, which is what I tried to do at the beginning. And I was like, why does this feel like I'm swimming upstream? It just felt more difficult than it needed to be. And I'm like, I'm not getting that. And so I realized I'm like, I just have to treat it like I can't look at and mirror and almost compare. I'm like, why am I not getting people onto this as quickly as I was? But I remembered like there's a process. It took me 7 years to really build really organically. I wasn't like the top 1% of the company. Like it was just a slow intentionality in building well and stewarding well, even the small clients and customers that I had at the beginning. And so I remembered kind of that. I'm like, okay, I'm starting from scratch. And these people, the majority of the world does not know about these products and what they do. And so my job is basically not this point to try to, buy this. It's really just to educate and inform them about what the products are, why they need them, why they're different than other things that are out there. And so that is kind of just that mindset shift. So that's kind of the realm that I'm in this year, is focusing on the educational aspect of it, learning myself, and then sharing what I learned. To me, I feel like that, I think about how that's like bending time. Like think about if someone who spends 40 years in the science world and they put together, they create something and they share what they've learned basically over the 40 years. I basically just took their 40 years and pulled it into a short amount of time, whether it's a few trainings or teachings. Like you're accelerating what someone else has done. And so that's kind of where you get to grab information that resonates and pull what resonates to you. And then you get to share that. And that's what people are attracted to, because they know me, they like me, they trust me with previous brands or other products. And so it kind of like accelerates that, like them knowing and learning from me as I've been learning from the, the company. So it's very exciting. I'm still learning a lot, and I love where the company is going. I love the way that they've handled an explosive launch. There's always bumps in the road when there's that, at the beginning of a startup, but I feel like they've handled it with grace and really wanting to do well and to do well. And so they've had to pivot quite a lot because they weren't expecting this big of a start. So it's really been beautiful to watch the birth of a new company. So yeah.
It's a great problem to have.
Yes. I try to tell it that. I've been trying to tell it to people who are like frustrated with some of like the little kinks and bumps in the road. I'm like, trust me, this is okay. Like we're still at the very, very beginning.
I think that, and even I like have to kind of rethink when I hear people talking about building their network or building a business through network marketing. In my mind, because I still kind of pull from that corporate mindset, it's like it's a mindset shift, because you are building a business. It's a very different kind of business.
And you have to think about the negative stigma around direct sales and network marketing, and how like 10, 20 years ago, it was done so differently. And unfortunately, there's still some of those practices that just don't work. They don't work. They don't feel great. And so to me, when I first joined my previous company, I was like, I'm not into the network marketing thing. Don't have a desire to do it. I just want to buy the products. I want the discount. I love, I love what they stand for. And then I realized, I was like, oh, like there's an opportunity here. And my sister was like, why don't you just try it? Like, what's the worst that can happen? And I was like, I was praying about it one morning, and I really felt like, I was like, you can do business and this business a better way when you partner with me. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to just trust what I'm hearing and think, I can do it differently. Like I can, and show people how to do it differently and not do the copy and paste from whatever their team or leaders was doing. It's like, no, how does like God want me to build my business with him? And it will look very different than the way you do your business. And so from that point on, I'm like, that's kind of the standard of like, oh, am I following the voice of God that I believe is leading me? Or am I following someone else's voice, which may have insight and advice and inspiration. But at the end of the day, I want the blueprint. I want the specific direction that God has for me. And so that's kind of how I've led my business and plan to continue to do so and help other people do that.
Well, it's an exciting company doing really exciting, innovative things. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Anytime that there are healthy alternatives to mainstream medications, it always piques my interest.
Yes. And one thing I'm like, I don't want to ever like compromise, just because something is clean doesn't mean it works great. And
so many businesses use that word now, clean.
Yes, all natural, clean. And so like we have to unfortunately really be, our own advocates and do our own research and really understand what clean means to that company, to this company, what clean means to that company. And so I think being armed with information, and it's part of the reason why I love the clean product industry, because I love helping, equipping, and educating people on how to make more informed decisions, like when it comes to cleaner, safer products that actually work. And so there's definitely the like pure, I think about coconut oil, like it's great. There's lots of benefits for it. And somebody's like, oh, you can just use that as your moisturizer. And like, to me, it didn't work. I didn't like the way it felt. And I'm like, no, I don't want to sacrifice just because something is clean. I'm like, I want it to also work well. And so to me, it's really important to also, once I find a product that not only is clean, that actually works really well, is like, that is when I'm like, yes, there's hope. And so with Make Wellness or skincare products or different types of food or other supplements and products, it's so refreshing when there's a brand who really does put effort and emphasis on clean products. It's part of their brand. It's who they are, and they're not hiding anything. There's transparency, and there's a product that actually works. And so that's a huge reason that I'm definitely influenced and impressed with Make Wellness.
That's awesome. Well, what drives your passion for leading faith-based trainings for women? And what's one message you hope to leave with the women you mentor? And I have to apologize to the audience because my voice is all scraggly today. I don't know why. I think it's from the medication from breaking my leg. But that's why I sound the way I do.
You sound great. You sound great. I think just the message I'm driven to my passion is really so people, women specifically, know that there is more to life and that God has something so beautiful in store for them when they partner with him in their everyday life. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, or if you're a CEO at a Fortune 100 company, like there is so much purpose in what God has for you. And so helping people to connect and understand the heart of God and the voice of God and how it can impact and influence their life and their sphere of influence around them because of that. To me, that is will always be like my absolute passion. So, yeah.
And it shines through on everything that you do. I always say you're like this ball full of just joyful sunshine. When you talk about your faith, you just come to life.
Because it's changed my life in every single aspect. There's like even if like at the end of the day, if I like die and they're like, there's nothing after that, I'm like, I know that I lived the best life living towards something with purpose and on purpose. To me, it's just like, well, it's worth it. Even if I'm wrong, it's worth whatever I'm experiencing and enjoying now. But if I'm right, I've gained everything.
Right.
So to
Well, if
me,
you're wrong, you've gained everything. And if you're right, you've gained everything.
yes, very true. Yes. Yeah.
Well, what's a piece of advice you'd give to someone striving to live with more joy and intentionality?
It's counter to what the world will tell you about like striving and go, go, go. To me, it's about being still, and it's being still, not even with yourself, because we can only take ourselves so far. We can only take ourselves so far in our own strength, in our own doing. But to me, it's when you let God in and you experience like the peace that surpasses understanding, the joy that is beyond me. It's really found in faith in Jesus, in what he's done for us as humans. And so once you settle and you can rest in that and make it a daily intentional relationship that you pour into, that's where everything else flows from that space. And so if you're making it the last thing to do on your to-do list, it's going to be low fruit, like low, it's not as meaty and good. Whereas if that's the first and the thing that you focus on, everything else to me flows from that point. And so ease, rest, joy, it's all found in that source. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, do you want to tell everybody what you are working on now?
Sure.
Or,
Yeah.
or what you want to be working on?
Yes. So I am really focusing this year on mentorship and mentoring women. I think there's something really powerful about, and that we've been missing as female entrepreneurs, is like accountability in life, in business, and what that actually looks like within community, within a coach. And so I'm really focusing on building women. And so I'm excited to be offering like one-on-one and small group coaching for women who want to grow deeper in their faith, in their life, in their everyday walk. And so I'm really excited to kind of be launching that and launching other women as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram, and it is at Britt Mognoni. So just how it's spelled, BrittMognoni.
Okay. Email or anything like that?
I have a free teaching. If you go to my Instagram, if you go to my link in bio, I have a free teaching that will get you on my email list, that you'll get a free teaching on how to grow in hearing God's voice. And so that's a great place for people to start and to get connected and stay connected beyond social media. So, yeah.
Okay. I'll be sure to drop that too in the information.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being with me today. I loved hearing your story. I think our audience is going to love it too. And you know how much I just adore you and appreciate you so much.
I love you so much, Denise. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.